The Philippines, officially the Republic of the Philippines, Republika ng Pilipinas, is an archipelagic country in Southeast Asia, situated in the western Pacific Ocean. It consists of about 7,641 islands that are broadly categorized under three main geographical divisions from north to south: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The capital city of the Philippines is Manila and the most populous city is Quezon City, both within the urban area of Metro Manila, bounded by the South China Sea to the west, the Philippine Sea to the east, and the Celebes Sea to the southwest. The Philippines shares maritime borders with Taiwan to the north, Japan to the northeast, Palau to the east, Indonesia to the south, Malaysia and Brunei to the southwest, Vietnam to the west, and China to the northwest. The Philippines' position as an island country on the Pacific Ring of Fire and close to the equator makes the country prone to earthquakes and typhoons. The country has a variety of natural resources and a globally significant level of biodiversity. This low-lying island geography makes the country vulnerable to climate change, increasing risk from typhoons and sea level rise. The Philippines has an area of around 300,000 square kilometers, 120,000 sq mi, with a population of around 109 million people. As of 2020, it is the 8th most populated country in Asia and the 12th most populated country in the world. Multiple ethnicities and cultures are found throughout the islands. The Philippines is considered to be an emerging market and a newly industrialized country, which has an economy transitioning from being based on agriculture to being based more on services and manufacturing. Negritos, some of the archipelago's earliest inhabitants, were followed by successive waves of Austronesian peoples. The arrival of Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese explorer leading a fleet for Spain, marked the beginning of Spanish colonization. In 1543, Spanish explorer Ruy López de Villalobos named the archipelago Las Islas Filipinas in honor of Philip II of Spain. Spanish settlement, beginning in 1565, led to the Philippines becoming part of the Spanish Empire for more than 300 years. During this time, Catholicism became the dominant religion, and Manila became the western hub of trans-Pacific trade. In 1896, the Philippine Revolution began, which then became entwined with the 1898 Spanish-American War. Spain ceded the territory to the United States, while Filipino rebels declared the First Philippine Republic. The ensuing Philippine-American War ended with the United States establishing control over the territory, which they maintained until the Japanese invasion of the islands during World War II. Following liberation, the Philippines became independent in 1946. Since then, the unitary sovereign state has often had a tumultuous experience with democracy, which included the overthrow of a dictatorship by the People Power Revolution. The Philippines is a founding member of the United Nations, World Trade Organization, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum, and the East Asia Summit. Filipino. Wikang Filipino WKN Filipino, also known as Filipino, is the national language, Wikang Pambansa Pambansang Wika, of the Philippines. Filipino is also designated, along with English, as an official language of the country. It is a standardized variety of the Tagalog language, an Austronesian regional language that is widely spoken in the Philippines. Tagalog is the first language of 24 million people, or about 1/4 of the Philippine population as of 2019. While 45 million speak Tagalog as their second language as of 2013, Tagalog is among the 185 languages of the Philippines identified in the Ethnologue officially. Filipino is defined by the Commission on the Filipino Language, Kamisayan sa Wikang Filipino in Filipino, or simply KWF, as the native dialect, spoken and written, in Metro Manila, the national capital region, and in other urban centers of the archipelago. Filipino, like other Austronesian languages, commonly uses verb-subject-object order but can also use subject-verb-object order as well. It has had initial directionality. It is an agglutinative language but can also display inflection. It is not a tonal language and can be considered as a pitch-accent language. Filipino is officially taken to be a pluricentric language, as it is further enriched and developed by the other existing Philippine languages according to the mandate of the 1987 Constitution. The emergence of varieties of Filipino with grammatical properties differing from Tagalog has been observed in Cebu and Davao. These, along with Metro Manila, are the three largest metropolitan areas in the Philippines. The Philippines is a multilingual state with more than 175 living languages originating and spoken by various ethno-linguistic groups. 11. Many of these languages descend from a common Malayo-Polynesian language due to the Austronesian migration from Taiwan. However, there are languages brought by the Negritos. The common Malayo-Polynesian language split into different languages, and these languages borrowed words from other languages such as Hokkien, Sanskrit, Tamil, and Arabic. There was no one single common language across every cultural group in the Philippine archipelago when the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, although chroniclers of the time noted that the kings or chiefs of small polities normally spoke 5 languages. The Spanish arrived at the Philippines at 1521. 12. 13. Thus starting the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. The eventual capital established by the Spaniards in the Philippines was Manila, situated in a Tagalog-speaking region. After the conquest of Manila from both the Muslim communities of Raja Suleiman and Raja Matanda and the Hindu, Buddhist kingdom of Tondo ruled by Lakandula, Manila was made capital of the new colony because of fears of raids from the Portuguese and the Dutch, and its strategic location. 14. The first dictionary of Tagalog, published as the Vocabulario de la Lengua Tagala, was written by the Franciscan Pedro de San Buenaventura. 15. And published in 1613 by the father of Filipino printing Tomas Pinpin in Pila, Laguna. A latter book of the same name was written by Czech Jesuit missionary Paul Klein, known locally as Pablo Klein. At the beginning of the 18th century, Klein spoke Tagalog and used it actively in several of his books. He wrote a dictionary, which he later passed to Francisco Janssens and Jose Hernandez. 16. Further compilation of his substantial work was prepared by Juan de Nacida and Pedro de Sanlúcar and published as Vocabulario de la Lengua Tagala in Manila in 1754 and then repeatedly. 17. Re-edited, with the latest edition being published in 2013 in Manila. 18. Spanish served in an official capacity as language of the government during the Spanish colonial period. During the American colonial period, English became an additional official language of the Philippines alongside Spanish. However, the number of speakers of Spanish steadily decreased. 19.